March 25th, KJ Method live session. We're going to be going over an exam today. I'm really asking you guys to be very proactive in answering these questions. And if you selected a different answer, I do not care if we get through 5 questions today, 10 questions. It doesn't make me a difference. What makes me a difference is that there is clearly a disconnect between your learning and then you being able to answer the questions. I will say it again. I've said it many times. If you are not tight on your vocabulary, you will never be able to pass this test. So that's your #1 job, is the vocabulary. You must get at least 90% of that vocabulary down, okay? So let's go through it and get started. So Moe's Southwest Grill installed a built-in oven that should be in its leased premises. At the end of the lease term, Moe's vacated the premises, but left the grill that it had installed. After the lease expires, those items are considered. All right, what say you? I was told that you can't see the answers. That's right, I covered the answers this time, because what is the point of you having the answers ahead of time if you don't utilize the time to then ask me why you got this right or why you got that wrong? So I hid the explanations. We would do them here. What do you guys got for #1? What are you thinking? What do we know about? First of all, what kind of question is this?
The trade fixture type question, that's what you mean?
Trade fixture type question, whether it's real or personal property.
Right.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
This is Moe's Southwest Grill. So what is that making you start to think?
It's trade fixture.
Trade fixture.
Maybe or not. What is the rule that you know about trade fixtures?
That if they leave it after the fact, it becomes the owner's.
That if they leave it after the fact, it becomes the owner's. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
So before the lease is over, trade fixtures are considered personal.
Yes.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
But once they leave it, then it's considered real. It's the owner that owns it.
Yes.
Everybody good with. So what's the answer to this one?
C.
C, as in Charlie.
Charlie, yes.
Is everyone good with that one?
Yes.
Anybody have a question?
No.
What's the answer?
C, Charlie.
C, yeah.
Okay. If someone picks something else, please don't be afraid. Let's talk about it. You thought this, you thought that. Anybody? Okay, let's move to the next one. Legal life estates are created by blank, whereas conventional life estates are created by blank. What is a legal life estate, first of all? Or just give me an example of one.
Dowry.
Dower and courtesy. Those are the biggest ones. Dower and courtesy. You guys know what dower and courtesy are? It's when the husband dies, it's part of that estate. When the wife dies, the husband gets part of that estate. Essentially, legal means created by law. When we create laws, we're trying to protect people. Why do we have dower and courtesy? Because we don't want a husband dying and leaving everything to his girlfriend. We don't want a wife dying and leaving everything to her boyfriend. We want, if the person was married and they die, we want to say at least the wife gets something of the estate, at least the husband gets something of the estate, okay? So we're trying to protect someone. So we use that word legal. So legal life estates then are created by what?
Operations of law.
Operational law. And what does operational law mean?
Automatic.
By the law.
Automatic, by the law. It's just created by law. You see that word legal. And even if you weren't certain what a legal life estate is, you see that word legal, and that word legal means to you created by law. And so that should help you start leading towards the answer, okay? And so legal life estates are created by law. Conventional life estates, on the other hand, are the ones that people make for other people, right?
Right.
Like, I always use my mom, right? Living in a house, she could stay there forever. You guys got that whole thing, right? So then conventional life estates are created by what?
Voluntary grants.
Voluntary grant. And so the answer here is A. Everyone good with that? Who has a question? Like, who didn't get it? Who didn't? What words could I point out for you?
Well, I got it now, but initially I put C. And I think the reason why I put C was because I thought the conventional life estate was created by the deed.
Yeah.
Conventional life estates created by deed, okay. And they could be created by deed. They could be created by contract too. But certainly deed is fine in the second one. Like basically, if the answer A wasn't there and D was there, and D said operation of law and by deed, that would be correct. So deed is okay. But how about conveyance of title? Do you see what I'm saying? Legal life estates, conveyance of title? No, a legal life estate.
TJ, what are you doing?
It has to be both.
No,
It
it's
has
hot.
to be. Whoa! If you got background noise,
No,
can you
brush
please?
your teeth.
Okay, legal life estates are created. You see that word legal, you got to think law, right? You see the word statutory, you think law. And so sometimes you're not going to know the answer, but you have to try to be able to say, well, what do these words mean? That's why we have the KJ words. One of them is legal, so that you can figure out that it's created by law. And then you see operational law, and that should tell you something. Okay?
So conventional life estates, conventional. I never seen that word conventional.
Conventional is just an ordinary life estate. Sometimes they use the word ordinary. Conventional is just a regular life estate, not the legal one, the one that a person would create for someone else. So we use the term conventional and we use the term ordinary. We use the term ordinary.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's look at the next one. I'm intentionally hiding the answers. 4 people have identical rights in a property. They share an undivided interest in the entire property. They do not need consent to transfer their interest to another. This type of ownership is
Joint.
Okay. Joint tenancy or joint ownership. What kind? Here's my choices. But actually, forget about the choices. That's what I'm saying. We're not looking at the choices. We're looking at the question.
Tenancy
All
in
right.
common.
Tenancy in common,
Or
Yes.
it can be joint
Yeah.
tenancy.
or it could be joint tenancy. What do you know
No.
about it?
Because they both can
Everybody-
have undivided interests.
Okay, in a joint tenancy or tenant in common, 4 people have identical rights in the property. Is that telling us anything? Can we make any assumptions just because they have identical rights?
No, not really. No.
No.
Not really.
It said they must have identical rights,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't say they must have identical rights. Suppose the question said they must have identical rights. Then what would you do?
That was the confusing part of the
That's-
question, because that's what got me. I thought it was going to be joint tenancy because it said identical rights.
But it says
Right.
they have identical rights.
But
Right.
right, then the second sentence
Understand?
after that.
Hold
The
on a
second
second,
sentence.
but let's talk about the identical rights first. I'm trying to get you guys to understand. Do not make assumptions with these questions. It says they have identical rights. If they have identical rights, can't that be joint tenancy or tenants in common?
Yes.
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 If it said they must have identical rights, then what is that going to be?
Joint tenancy.
Joint
Joint.
tenancy.
Do
Definitely
you
joint.
see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me if you don't see the difference. Guys, because you understand that having identical rights in a tenant in common, you could have identical rights, right? But you could also have unidentical rights. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
First sentence tells us nothing about whether it's a tenant in common or a joint tenancy. If you said, because it says identical rights, joint tenancy, you assumed something that wasn't there. Everybody good with me on that?
Yes.
Because it says they have identical rights. It doesn't say they must have identical rights. Okay, so they have identical rights. They share an undivided interest in the property. That doesn't tell me anything, because with both joint tenancy and tenants in common, an undivided interest is the P under PIT, the right of possession. They both have it. Everybody good with that one?
Right.
Everybody good with that one? Okay.
Yes.
They do not need consent to transfer their interest to another.
Can you scroll up, please?
That's
I'm
all
not
I
sure
asked.
because of the
Yeah, I
answer.
can't.
You guys can't see the question?
No,
Is that better?
no,
Yeah.
no.
No.
Are you on the phone?
No.
I'm on my laptop, but all I see is the top of the question. I can't see anything
Okay.
else.
All right.
Well, if
I
you
was-
go in it's higher, it's gonna be the answers.
Yeah, I was trying to cover the answers
Oh,
because
I see.
that is
Okay.
really what the problem is. I feel with you guys is that you're utilizing the answers to answer the question for you, as opposed to utilizing the question to give the answer. Does that make sense? And so I'm trying to get you to just reading the question and evaluating the question, not the answers.
Yeah.
All right. So does everyone understand that if you have identical rights, that could be joint tenancy or tenants in common? If you have an undivided interest, that could be joint tenancy or tenants in common. You do not need your consent to transfer. That could be joint tenancy or tenants in common. Is everybody good with that one?
Right. So the answer is A.
Answer is A. Anyone have questions? Come on, stop me if you
I have
do.
a question, KJ.
I do have. Okay.
Okay, let's do it.
Which one earlier did you say that they must have identical rights in a property? I didn't catch that when you said it.
A joint tenancy, you must have identical
Joint.
rights. But this didn't use
Okay.
the word must. It just says they
Right.
have identical rights. So you could have identical rights in both.
So if it would have been worded, 4 people must have identical rights in a property, and then the rest of the question, would it have just been joint tenancy?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Because joint
Thank you.
tenancy is the only one where there is a must. The only one where
Okay.
there's a must.
thank you.
Mhm.
That was a good question,
Okay.
KJ. That was
Oh,
a
you
really
mean
good
identical to KJ? Is it just that like 25, 25, 25? You know what I mean? Or is that
See,
what they're speaking?
Mhm.
Okay, so what if it was the tenants in common? Then it didn't have to be 25. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's why it's both. Because the question doesn't say there must be identical rights. It just says everybody has identical rights.
But then,
Is everybody understanding what I'm saying?
no, I guess where I'm struggling is that when you say undivided interest, because I'm thinking from a joint standpoint.
Say
it's
something.
25, 25.
I'm in the real estate class.
Do you guys remember that there is P for possession? Everybody remember P for possession is one of the unities, right? What is the only unity that is shared by both tenants in common and joint tenancy? Possession. It's the only one that's shared. What does possession mean? It means that regardless of how much we own, it's undivided.
Yeah,
We have an undivided
I'm
interest
in my class.
in the property. Whomever is, guys, please, if you have other people in the room, you must mute your mic. That's what I'm talking about, right? This has got to be dedicated time. If you're trying to do 10 different other things, never gonna happen. All right? Undivided interest means equal right to possession. That's the terminology that they use. So if we have an equal right to possess, regardless of how much we own, how much ownership interest we have an undivided interest. That is the only one That's the only unity, P, possession, that is shared by both tenants in common and joint tenants. Okay. And
Yeah,
so
that was good. Okay.
Okay, and so that's the reason why. So this question, you made an assumption. If you picked, a joint tenancy, you're making an assumption that because they have identical rights, they must have had them, but they didn't necessarily need to have had them because it just says have. Meaning, we are in a tenants in common and we decided to do it 50-50. But two of you guys are in a joint tenancy. You have to do it 50-50, okay? But at the end of the day, we all have these identical rights. Undivided interest, both tenants in common and joint tenancy have an undivided interest, okay? And none of them require consent.
Okay.
Okay? Everybody good?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Problem. Let's do number 4. All right, an easement by prescription. If you can't see it, that's all it says, an easement by prescription. What is an easement by prescription?
Open, hostile, and continuous use.
Open, hostile, continuous use. It's right there. So what's the answer?
B.
B. It's right there, right? All right. Anyone have another one there that they selected that we need to talk about? So everybody selected B on that one, because like I said, guys, this is not the time to be shy. We trying to all get to the same place. All right.
I thought the answer was that, but the hostile kind of got me.
Hostile just means against the person, without permission. That's all it means. Against the person, right? Without permission. That's all it means. Sometimes they use hostile, sometimes they use without permission. Nabria?
Hey Jay, I always get this one confused. This is Nisha. How you doing today?
Hey Nisha.
Hey, I always get this one confused. I always think about, for some reason, like the dominant and the servant, when they use the same property. I always get this one confused.
Okay, so this one is the little kid that lives in the neighborhood that if they have to walk around the regular path to school, it's going to take 40 minutes to get to school. But if they walk through Miss Jones's neighborhood, Mrs. Jones's backyard, they will get there in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Anybody didn't grant it to them. Nobody gave it to them, right?
And she doesn't know?
She may or may not know, but it's adverse to her. She didn't give them permission to do it. And she didn't stop them from doing it. The other easements that you're talking about, think about it this way, are gonna be given from one person to another. This is the only easement that you're like taking from someone.
Okay.
You are taking it because you're just like using their property. They ain't give you permission to use it, but you're doing it long enough that we're gonna give you an easement. And so just think about the kid that lives in the neighborhood, don't wanna walk all the way around, it takes too long. So the kid keeps using the path. He keeps going through her backyard, does it for as long, and he's doing it openly, continuously, without her permission, keep doing it. He's gonna be able to get an easement by prescription. So this is the only one you're taking from someone, whereas those other easements, appurtenant, easement, and gross, are going to be the ones that somebody's giving to you. Either you paid for it, they granted it to you, something like that. Okay?
Got it. And this is not a license because they didn't have permission.
That's not why, that is not only the reason why, but that's one of the reasons, right? A license is permission. So yes, you're right on that account, but it is also more compared to easements in gross than they are easement by prescriptions, because it moves to the side of the permission. Remember how I just said an easement appurtenant and an easement in gross is by permission? A license is by permission also. Easement by prescription is like you're taking it. So an easement by prescription, a lot of times you guys get this question, what is it most closely related to? It's most closely related to adverse possession.
Got it.
It's most closely related to adverse possession, except the difference is with an easement by prescription, you're just trying to keep using the path. With adverse possession, you're moving into the
You're trying
house.
to take the property. Okay.
Right, so we say use, easement.
Versus
use
possession.
Versus title, exactly. But it's the same act. It's the same act. You're not getting permission, you're doing it against the person. That's why we call it hostile. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much for that.
Only one that you get like that. The only one you get like that. Okay. In a
That's
lien
perfect. Thank
theory state, tell me what you know.
I know I got
They
this
get-
one wrong.
They get
I was-
the title. They get the title. They get possession of the title.
Okay. Who gets possession of the title?
The owner of the
The
property.
owner.
The owner of the property. You mean the person taking the loan, or the bank?
The person
The
that's
person, yeah, the person who's the person who's getting the loan.
The person
Right.
who's taking the loan
and
and
the lender. The
and the
lender
lender-
is actually
The lender.
placing a lien on the
the
property.
lender's gonna put a lien on the property?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. Let's see.
And it's not Georgia because Georgia title.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see if we can find the answer. Liens are recorded in trust as opposed to title records. Everybody like, no?
No.
The
No,
lender records a lien while the borrower retains title to the property.
yes,
That's exactly what you guys just
Yeah.
said. Exactly.
yes.
Okay, let's sit B to the side. I like that. Properties are foreclosed by non-judicial foreclosure. True
No.
or false? True or false?
Oh, false.
Because in lien theory states, we mostly have what kind of foreclosure?
Oh, that one I don't remember.
Judicial
Judicial. Let's think about why.
because they got a lien.
Because they got to get the title back.
Oh, well, thank you for that, because I didn't remember that. And it's
Title back.
right.
But in a title theory state, the lender never gives the title. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
And that's why they're non-judicial.
Title?
Yes.
That's why they can do it by non-judicial
Non-
foreclosure.
Mhm.
I got it.
Makes sense, right? It's like, I
Yeah.
never gave it to you, so I should be able to get my title. I should be able to do it easy, non-judicial. But if I
Right.
gave you the title, I got to do it judicial. And so we know that C is incorrect. All right. D, the lender retains legal title to the property. Yes or no?
No,
Yeah.
That's
No.
what I said, but it's
Yeah.
no.
No.
no, because
Lien theory state, we already just said.
Yeah.
The borrower has the
I
title.
had the title, right? So
Right.
D is no.
So B, everybody good with B?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Next one. Oh. Several liens were recorded in a state where a mechanic's lien has priority over all liens except for property tax liens. The liens were recorded in this order. First, special assessment. Second, mechanics, federal income tax lien. Which lien will be paid last?
Second
Federal-
mortgage.
Federal
Tax.
income tax.
Income tax.
Okay, I got one federal income tax. What else?
You got two federal income.
I said
I
second
said federal.
mortgage.
Second mortgage.
Second
Okay.
mortgage.
Second mortgage, federal income tax. All right, let's talk about it before we look at the answers. Does everyone, okay, which one's gonna be paid first?
Special
Special assessment.
Special
Everybody
assessors.
Then
good with
then the
that? I'm
mechanic.
good with that. Special assessment first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What's gonna be paid second?
Mechanic lien.
Mechanics lien because you read the question. And the question
Right.
tells you
Right.
mechanics lien has priority.
Yes.
All right. All right. Now the rest of them were recorded in this order. So what do we have left? We have first mortgage,
First mortgage, second mortgage,
federal income
And then
tax.
federal
lien.
so federal income gonna be last.
The
It's always
federal income tax lien is going to be paid last.
Right.
Yes.
A lot of times people think the federal government has priority, but they have no special priority for income taxes. The
Okay.
only taxes that have priority are property taxes. And so the order is what we said of these liens: special assessment, mechanics, first, second, federal income tax.
Mhm.
Everybody good with that one? So the answer here is C.
C.
Yes.
Anyone have a question as to
I have a question.
why that? Yes, go ahead.
So this might not be a great question to ask right at this moment, but say property tax liens was involved in this list. When
It is.
So, okay, so I get confused on whether a special assessment, property tax lien, or mechanics lien, but which one would be paid first over the other if property taxes was involved in that.
It is property taxes involved. Special assessment is a property tax. The only
okay.
the only question that you would get, only question that you would ever get on a test where you would have to answer that is, suppose in this question they put ad valorem. Everybody understand that ad valorem is a property tax?
Yes.
Does everyone understand that special assessment is a property tax?
Yes.
Yeah, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
If they put them head to head in a question, which one gets paid first? Ad valorem.
Ad valorem.
It's paid before special assessment. Most of the time, they won't put them together, but if they did, and this question had also, additionally, in this question it had ad valorem, we would pay ad valorem, special assessment, mechanics lien, first mortgage, second mortgage, federal income tax. Everybody good?
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Yes.
No problem. All right. A person dies with a legal heir, but has left no valid will. What happens to the property that was owned by that person?
It goes to the legal heir.
It goes to his heirs, whoever his legal heirs are.
It goes to the legal. Oh, so then how would we know? You're right. It goes to the legal
Operation
heir.
of law.
Okay, by operation of law, but what's that called?
Laws of descent.
Law of descent.
Laws of descent.
Laws of descent, laws of intestate succession. Very good. So let's see if that answer is there. So what's the answer?
C.
It's right there.
Yes.
Right.
You guys see what I'm saying? When we look at the question and we're not dealing with the answers, we're trying to just pull apart what the question. So let's talk about this one, because I guarantee you that there were students in here that picked A, the state government by a sheet. I'm guaranteeing that there were people in here that picked that. As soon as you saw that somebody died and didn't leave a will, you jumped right to a sheet.
That's exactly what I did.
That's exactly what you did. What we have to understand is this: when a person dies without a will, it will eventually a sheet to the state if they can't find any heirs. But if they can find heirs, they go by the laws of descent. So the way it works is this: the person dies, we look for a will. There's no will. The state doesn't go, okay, great for me, that's my property. No, we do another step. Let's give it to their heirs. That's how the laws of descent fit in there. So we're going to look and we're going to do the laws of descent, right? And then we say, oh, they don't have any heirs. We tried to find kids. We tried to find brothers and sisters. We can't find anyone. Then it goes to the state government. But just because you see no heirs, I don't want you automatically jumping to a sheet. There's a step before a sheet.
How's it gonna work?
And then you go from there, okay?
But what if they don't leave a will because they don't want their members to get it? Do they need to put that in a will?
If you don't leave a will because you don't want your family members to get it, then you need to leave a will.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
It's all the time in my classes. I say, how many of y'all have a will? No, I ain't got no will. So who's gonna get your stuff? I don't know. Well, it goes by the state. The state has a list. that list by operational law. It's called the laws of descent. And so if you didn't want, if the only heir you have is your brother and you don't want your brother to have it, then what should you do? You better make a will because your brother's going to get it. Okay? Everybody good?
KJ,
KJ, I have a
May you-
question.
Oh, go ahead. Who's that? Administrator. Who's
I'm
that?
sorry, KJ, my computer, that's Hyacinth. This is Hyacinth.
Hey,
I'm not the
Hyacinth, go ahead.
administrator. I tried to change it and I couldn't change it.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Yes. The same question here. It says if a person died with a legal heir and has left no valued will. Say, for example, I die, I have 3 kids. I did not leave, left a valued will. And it is passed by the law of descent. And I have 3 children. How would that?
That's why you need to know. You need to either have a will or you need to know what the laws are in that state. Every state has different laws.
Okay.
It's literally an operational law chart that they look at, right? And that's why if you don't have a will, you need to know, or you need to at least know your state law to know where it's going to go.
Okay.
All right, Nisha.
Yes, just a question. I also hear some people talk about, trust accounts. Can you just explain the difference with the will and that trust account? Is that just for like monetary value, the trust?
Trust? No, a trust could be that you decide. A trust is any time you put something in a trust, for lack of a better word, you put it somewhere, right? Or not necessarily somewhere or with someone for the purpose of benefiting a third party. And so, for example, I could, in my will, create a trust for my 5-year-old. If I had a 5-year-old, I don't want my 5-year-old getting all my money right now. They're only 5, right? And so what happens in my will? In my will, I create a trust saying, if I die, then the will becomes effective, right? And so that is called a testamentary trust. Last will and testament, testamentary trust. So in the will, it says, create this trust for my 5-year-old, and then they can have all of this when they turn 20.
Got it.
Okay.
So it's just
so somebody
way.
else would have that. So, if I die.
I would use my best friend, let's say.
Okay.
I have a best friend, right? My best friend I've known forever. I would use her. And I would say, she is the trustee of this trust, right? And don't give this to, my son until he turns 20. Yeah, like that.
So will she have your property or those possessions until he's 20, or it just stays at a standstill? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it depends on what it is, but she would maybe take care of it until then if it's real estate or whatever. Yeah.
Thank you.
A person living in an extremely rural area decides to move into what appears to be a vacant property. After 20 years, the owner of the property notices the person and kicks him off the property. The person takes the owner to court in an attempt to claim ownership of the property. The claim will likely be, first of all, what topic is this?
Adverse possession.
Adverse possession. And what do we know about adverse possession, like in terms of looking at this question?
20 years.
20 years. It's not always 20, but in this case, they're probably letting us know that in that state it was 20 years, right? And so the person takes the owner to court in an attempt to claim ownership of the property. So are they allowed to do that? And what is the likely result? So denied. A, denied because the person was only entitled to an easement by prescription.
No.
No. Why not?
Because it's more than easement.
Because we're talking about adverse possession, not
He's trying
easement.
to take possession, not the use.
Everybody, perfect. That's a perfect answer. Let's get rid of A. B, upheld, since the person appears to have properly adversely possessed the property. I like that so far. I'm gonna sit it to the side, but I like it. C, denied because there is no proof that the person improved the property. Is that a requirement of adverse possession?
No.
No,
No, that
I'm
doesn't have
getting rid
anything
of
to do with
C.
the question.
Nothing to do with it. There's no requirement of improving the property. D, upheld if the person can prove he wasn't a trespasser. Adverse possessors are trespassers, aren't they?
Mhm.
Yes.
So D, getting rid of that. So
So
B.
B,
Everybody good with B?
B.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm good with B too, right? You don't have to prove that you improved the property. Hold on a second. You don't have to prove you improved the property. You don't have to prove that you adversely, that you improved the property or that you wasn't a trespasser, because you were a trespasser. That's exactly what you were. Okay, go ahead, Celia. Celia?
In Georgia, is it a certain amount of years? Was it like over 20 years, 30 years?
It's not relevant. I think Georgia is 20 and then 7 on the color of the title.
Okay, it's not, okay.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the person that lived there for 20 years, how is he going to be able to prove that he was there for 20 years?
That doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter. We're not trying to prove. That's the O. I'm glad you asked that question though, Barbara, because this happens a lot with students also. You're not trying to prove anything. You're trying to just look at the question at a point in time and answer what it could possibly be.
Okay.
You're not passing. So this is what I like to say when I'm teaching my students in class. All you're trying to do is when you go to court, you're like, I'm taking you to court. What you gonna say? That's all I want to know. What you gonna say? What are you gonna say? I was there and whatever. So you're making the claim. You're not trying to prove the claim. On this test, I want you to make the claim, but I don't care about proof because we're not trying to prove anything. We're just trying to look at the question, look at the facts and say, what is this? And then go from there. Does that make sense? We're not worried about proof. Okay, just do you have the elements of the claim? You moved onto the property that was vacant, you stayed there 20 years. Do you have elements of the claim? That's it. Okay. All right. In accordance with the statute of frauds, tell me what you know about the statute of frauds.
It must be in writing.
What
Requires
must
contract
be in
in
writing?
writing and be
Contracts.
All contracts must be in writing?
No, anything over a
to
year.
be enforceable.
Okay, let me back up for a second. I'm gonna ask you a question. The statute of frauds, does it say that all contracts have to be in writing? Yes or no?
No.
Does it say that certain contracts have to be in writing?
Yes.
Yes.
And does it go to validity or enforceability?
Enforceability.
Enforceability.
And when we're talking about leases,
Has to be over
what
a
leases
year.
have to be in writing?
Anything
over
over
a year.
1 year.
Yeah.
Got all our information.
Over a year.
Mhm.
It can be- it has
Let's look at our answers. All right. All contracts must be in writing to be valid. Yes or no?
Yes.
No.
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 It said, no, it doesn't go to validity. No, all right?
No.
Oral leases are not enforceable. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, they're not enforceable?
They're not enforceable.
The court can't hear it.
Okay, what did we just say? Which
But
leases?
some. Yeah,
Under
no,
a year.
under a year. So
Guys, it's really important. Let's back up a second. Didn't we just say that all contracts don't have to be in writing?
Yes.
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 That's what you said that.
And the statute of frauds goes to enforceability, not validity. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
yes.
We easily get rid of A.
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no? Come on, guys.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I'll say put it to the side. Let's see
Okay,
what's
B
next.
says, no, not to the side. A is out.
It's not right. It's out.
It's out.
Okay, let's look at B.
And B's out.
Oral leases are not enforceable. If you have background
yeah, they're
noise,
not enforceable.
please mute your
That's
mic.
false. That's
Oral
false.
leases are not enforceable. That is false.
That's false.
Can we get rid of B?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
You sure? We can get rid of B. Okay.
Yes.
A 5-year lease must be in writing to be enforceable.
Yes. Yes.
Keep that one.
Okay,
We
we want to keep that one? Let's
Yes,
keep
let's
that.
see what D says.
A lease over a year must be in writing to be valid.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
False.
False.
Enforceable.
It doesn't
Not valid.
Enforceable.
be valid and not
Enforceable. Oh,
enforceable.
Lord, not valid, but
Statute
enforceable.
of frauds goes to enforceability,
Right.
not
Right.
validity.
Right.
So let's come back for a second. Do you see, this was a very easy question, but it is careful reading also
Yeah.
that is going to get us there. We already said the elements, right? We said, no, it has to be over a year to be enforceable. I said, does it go to validity? You guys said no, right? I said, do all contracts have to be in writing to be enforceable? You guys said no, right? And then we look at the answers, and instead of evaluating those answers very clearly, we didn't, right? And so all contracts, A, must be in writing to be valid. No, we already know the statute of frauds go to enforceability. Oral leases are not enforceable. How about an oral lease of 1 month? Isn't that enforceable?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Or a lease for a
This
month?
is of 1 month.
Yes.
1 month. As long as it's not
Anything under a year.
Yeah.
Yes, anything under a year, so it is enforceable.
Yes.
5-year, we know it's not. A lease over a year must be in writing to be valid.
Right.
No.
Exactly.
So yeah, valid is that word that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah,
Okay,
valid and
you guys got it?
enforceable.
Right.
Yes. Yes. So
Yeah.
So the answer is C, right?
C.
Let's see.
Yes.
No? Did you say?
I'm calling you.
Yes, C. A 5-year lease must be in writing to be enforceable because that's what the statute of frauds is, to be enforced.
Okay, is everybody good with that? C.
Yes.
Yes.
Where's the disconnect? Are we good?
Good.
I think
Okay. We sure before we move on?
Yes.
I have a question. Are we talking about lease options?
Are we talking about, can we talk about lease options?
I said, are we, you said this is a lease. So we're talking about lease options, right?
No, this is
No.
not an
Statute
option.
of frauds.
Nothing to do with an option at all. This question is specifically related to statute of frauds only. That's what I'm saying. If it says in accordance with the statute of frauds, where should your head be going? Statute of frauds. That's it. Not here, not here, right here. Statute of frauds. That's it. And you say to yourself, enforceability over a year, blah, 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 blah. Okay, Gary, go ahead.
No, that was the, and that helped me out a lot. When you went to statute of frauds, immediately it goes to enforceability versus validity, because I picked D. So I went right with validity, but statute of frauds should be that key word that goes right to enforceability versus validity, correct?
That's it. That's it, right? It's the two words that go together. Statute of frauds, enforceability. That's what we're looking for, okay? Everybody good on that one?
Yes, I think where we're messing up is that, like you said, reading the answers and then understanding and paying attention to the buzzwords, like you said. That's where I think we're going wrong, because
That's right. We got to match them
well,
up.
I don't want to say we. I know that's where I'm missing out on some of the buzzwords.
And that's why a good thing is to do this in accordance with the statute of frauds. What do we know about statute of frauds, right? And then you don't get all twisty-turny around by these validity words, because if you knew your vocab, you would have said statute of frauds means enforceable or not. And you get here and you're going to ignore validity. It has nothing to do with it. Does that make sense? And that's what I mean about getting flailed around by the answers, as opposed to just question what should, and anticipating what that answer should be. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
See, it says a 5-year lease. What are they leasing?
Apartment or
okay, so this is apartment. Okay.
Let's say apartment. Let's say commercial space.
Yeah, I guess it really don't matter.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. All right, Nisha?
Yes, I just wanted to say I appreciate you for doing it this way because
Yes.
when you when I'm taking my test, it's kind of like after I read the question, I feel pressure because now I'm reading the answers instead of just really focusing on the question and pulling pieces apart. And I think that's going to help me a lot moving forward
I think that
because
that's
you
very
can just
important.
eliminate easier.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that you're absolutely right. I see that all the time. Like the students they're getting pressured by the answers
Yeah.
as opposed to taking control of the test. What do you know about that thing? And then anticipating what the answer should be, as opposed to letting the answers kind of like flow you around.
Right, because I can immediately say, okay, well, if I don't understand the question, I need to go back to the topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for this.
No problem. Okay, guys, land use variance may be granted in which of the following situations. What do you guys know about a variance?
It can't be for something really, really big, like, like maybe smaller issue.
A smaller issue, an issue where it doesn't have, it's smaller because it doesn't have a lot of impact on the surrounding area. It doesn't have an impact on the neighbors. You got to show that you need it, right? You need to do it like this. And that goes against the current zoning, like the current zoning says you can't do it. And so you are going down to the zoning board and you're asking them, can you do it? And then they're like, why do you need to do it? And you're like, well, this is the reason why. And you're showing you really need to do it. And you're showing that it's not going to have like a substantial impact. So it's got to be something small. Okay.
Right.
You got that? Let's look at the answers. If compliance with the current zoning causes undue hardship and the change will have limited impact. I like that answer.
Me too.
B, if the appeal is presented by land use attorneys.
No.
No.
There's no rule relating to that. If the owner can demonstrate a valid homestead exemption.
No.
Nothing to do with it.
Money.
Considered to be grandfathered into the current zoning law. This would be an answer that people would pick.
No, because it's already grandfathered in, so you don't need no.
Who said that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who said that? Say it again. Say it again.
If it's already grandfathered in, you wouldn't need a variance.
If it's already grandfathered in, you wouldn't need a variance.
Exactly.
Grandfathered means it's good.
Right.
You're good to go.
So that,
All right.
A.
And so if it's already grandfathered, there's no reason for variance because being grandfathered means you can do whatever it is you need to do. Nisha.
Yes, ma'am. So is this also one of those topics where we kind of see it as it's a deed restriction and which one controls the zoning, or is this that too? We can see it like that?
In that section.
Okay.
It's definitely in that section. If this question was presented a little differently and it said, the particular area is zoned like this, but the deed restrictions say this, right? One are you going to be able to go with, and then the stricter one controls. So it's in that same topic, but it's not related to this question, but the same topic.
And what answer would that be? Would that be
land
the
use regulations under the state exam?
Oh,
land
what
use
was that?
regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Land use regulations. And in KJ method, it's government. But if you look at the live, it's specifically land use regulations. It's all, it's under government and KJ method, but land use regulations in the state. But the live has the exact outline. It's under the land use. Okay?
Thank you.
No problem.
I have a question, KJ.
Sure.
I have a very hard time coming up with the difference between non-conforming use and a variance.
Okay. Non-conforming means grandfathered. So there's no need for.
So go ahead, sorry.
Non-conforming and grandfathered are the same words. They're synonyms.
Okay.
And so if it's non-conforming, that means that it doesn't comport with the current, it doesn't comport with the current zoning, but you're allowed to do it anyway. And so if you're allowed to do it anyway, there's no reason for you to have to get a variance.
That's it.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yes,
non-conforming and grandfather means the exact same thing. It means that the zoning law was changed, but zoning only goes forward, it doesn't go backwards. And so since the zoning law was changed and you were already using it as a store and it says no more stores, okay, that means y'all can't build stores, but my store is good. And so if it's non-conforming, you don't have to get a variance.
So non-conforming, you don't need permission, and then a variance, you need permission.
That's right. Yep.
Essentially. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. All right. If rents are declining in office properties in a market, it is likely that if the price of,
Give me a minute.
if
Supply and demand.
whoever has somebody in, please close your mic. If rents are declining in office properties in a market, it is likely that if the price of tomatoes are declining in a market, it is likely that. It doesn't matter what I put in the question. If the prices are going down, it is likely what is happening.
It's an oversupply?
Oversupply, yeah.
It's an oversupply.
Oversupply.
If you don't like economics, then don't worry about the economics. Just talk about shopping. If I go into the store and the prices are on clearance, so if the prices are on clearance, it's likely that what? It is likely that supply exceeds demand. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Unemployment is decreasing? No. If unemployment is decreasing, right, there's more people with jobs, right? Chances are prices are going to be going up, right? More people with jobs, more people with money. Demand exceeds supply. When demand is greater than supply, that's what we're seeing right now in the housing market. Where are the prices? Higher.
Higher.
The market is in equilibrium. If it was in equilibrium, we wouldn't see a decline or an increase. Supply exceeds demand. Yeah, y'all got too much of that. Y'all got too much of that. So what you're gonna have to do? Lower the price. All right. It doesn't matter what you put on these questions. You could put iPhones, you could put sneakers, you could put whatever. All right. It's not about that. It's about understanding the economics. And so if you are not certain, you don't really like economic, whatever, just put sneakers on it. Put how a shop, a bag or whatever. Okay. All right. One strength of the sales comparison approach to value in residential appraising is that. Let's talk about it. What are some strengths of this? What is the sales comparison approach?
Is that when you find a comp?
It's when you find a comp.
So
To
get
compare
the
to
value.
the subject property.
You're going to compare it to the subject property. Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And why, if we have that, then why is it, you know, one of the strengths obviously is that if we have a comp, we can just kind of compare it to get
A listing price.
the listing price, a value for the one that we're trying to, like, we don't have to go searching around, right? There's another one right there. Okay. All right. So let's see if we can find anything like that. Sales data going back as far as 5 years is always available. Right or wrong, and why?
No, the market changes.
No. Yeah. So how far do we go back with comps? That's what that's questioning. 6
At least-
months.
Okay.
How maximum 6 months.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Years? No way. It's the same reason that you said though. because the market is always changing. Can you look at a comp from, we all know you can't look at a comp from 5 years ago to now.
No.
We all
Right.
know that because of the crazy COVID stuff. That's when you were able to buy that house for 150 5 years ago. We know that's not it. All right. It's easy to calculate since all properties in a neighborhood appreciate at the same rate.
That's definitely not true.
Definitely not true. Everybody good? We know all, and it says all properties.
Right.
If you a tidbit, you get those words all. That's generally not the right answer. Okay? When you get those definitive, you can't move around words. Generally not the right answer. Okay? Good so far?
Yeah.
It is the most accurate with special purpose properties. Yes or no?
You're not going to even use that approach with special purpose.
Won't even use this approach with special purpose properties. You would use the cost approach with it. It is based on substitution and the comps are generally easy to find.
Yes.
D,
I like that answer too.
Yeah,
Do you see how we just threw each one? We're not getting flailed around by the answers. We are evaluating each of the answers based upon what we know about the question. Guys got it? All right, so we're at 12. We'll stop here today, and then we will continue. If you didn't complete the test, please go in and at least try to do the rest of the questions so that we can discuss the rest of these next week.
Okay.
Right?
All right, that's great.
As you are studying this week, and as you're taking tests in the KJ method, try this approach. Try the approach that we utilized today and see how that works for you. Okay?
Okay.
Not answers. So cover the answers, even if you got to put it on your screen, cover the answers, whatever, question. And then try to figure out, what do I know about that, right? And anticipate what the answer could be. Then go through 1, 1, 1, 1, evaluating like that. Okay? You should always have 2 left. Then you get rid of all, the always, those kind of words, and then look at careful reading without making assumptions. Remember that one with the joint tenants in common? We were like, oh, just because they had, it didn't say they must have, it just said that they had it. Okay, so don't make assumptions. You're not trying to prove the thing, and please don't add words into the question if it's not there. Okay? Yes, sir, Jason.
Okay, how you doing? KJ, well, I didn't get a chance to take this test, but will I be able to take it from this question to the end? Would it let me do it that way?
Yeah, it's still open there, so that's what I'm saying, guys. Just go ahead and just go ahead.
I don't know if it would have. I don't know if it will make me, go to the beginning.
No. Oh, yeah. You're gonna have to just click. It won't let you. It'll let you take it, but when you go hit submit, it'll say these were required answers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just go ahead and click in there.
Okay. All right.
All right, guys. So of course this is gonna be uploaded and so forth. Say that again.
I said thanks again.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Can I reopen the test? I didn't close this test at all. You should be able to go in and if not, send me an email, but I didn't close the test at all. Maybe because I'm in it right now, but it's not closed. All right, guys. So this will get uploaded to the portal and you'll be able to watch it. The other thing I want you to know is that all of the live sessions have now been categorized in the portal. So when you look at latest weekly live, you'll see 5, just the last 5. But then after that, I categorize them and I put the titles too. So like, for example, you could go in and just look at math lives now. The ones that were math, I put them under math. And then when you click in it on the thumbnail, it'll tell you. There's an example here on net listing. There's an example on that. It'll tell you, right? And then there was some where we did some interviews, and then there was some where I was just doing tests, right? there's one that's called live test or whatever. You could go in there and watch those lives, and those additional, tests you could take. And even though I'm on the live, you could still take the test there and then, pause it before I say the answer, then you say the answer like that. Okay?